A finish flashier than my own.
11 ultra-powerful Decepticons who never appeared in movies. The Transformer live-action film, as directed by Michael Bay, showcased a never-ending battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons with some crazy, amazing fight sequences and mind-blowing visual effects. As a fan, one would surely expect to watch badass robots transform into vehicles in the coolest possible ways. While the Autobots triumph every time, the Decepticons surely give them the best fight. While we are aware of characters like Megatron, Starscream, and Shockwave, there are dozens of more Decepticon characters that are extremely powerful and vicious. Some are even insane enough to work up Megatron's concern. These characters appeared in the IDW continuity series and other forms of media. In today's video, we will be exploring interesting backstories of our top 11 ultra-powerful Decepticons from comics and animated TV shows. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Number 1. Overlord. First on our list, we have the huge and all-powerful Overlord. This colossal robot is an amalgamation of two individual vehicles, Gigatank and Megajet. The origin story of Overlord is explained in the Japanese Generation 1 cartoon continuity. Back then, a mysterious evil alien wanted to create the ultimate powerful life form by fusing Transformers and humans. This malevolent entity, named Devil Z, stole a collection of Transformer transdectors from the G Nebula, the home of Oracle's mega-computer holding research methods of merging organic and mechanical life, and brought it to Earth. Devil Z recruited a human couple, Giga and Mega, and bonded them to the largest transdectors, creating Gigatank and Megajet. These two bonded to form the terrifying robot Overlord, also known as the Ambassador of Destruction, under Devil Z. Over the years, Overlord made several appearances. He led the Decepticons on the battleground as the so-called Ambassador of Destruction for Devil Z during the Master Force War. Overlord, who most fans are familiar with and like, was first introduced in IDW publishing comic books, and he is not like the original. In 2010's Last Stand of the Wreckers miniseries by Nick Roche and James Roberts, the comic book Overlord made its debut. He is portrayed as a rebellious Decepticon leader who delights in slaughter and violence and is fixated on being powerful enough to overthrow Megatron. Roberts has acknowledged that his interpretation of Overlord was influenced by John Simm's depiction of the Master in Doctor Who, and it is evident that this was the case. Overlord alternates between being a cold, cunning genius and a delightfully cruel monster. He is the stuff of nightmares more than just about any other Decepticon, and as a result, he has gained a fair number of admirers. Mega and Giga, two human godmasters, merged, took on the shape of Overlord, a tank and jet that may combine to form a robot mode, a highly armed advanced base, or a bigger jet capable of space travel. This towering warrior is a combination of the most lethal Decepticon weapons known, armed with laser blasters and grenade launchers in his stomach, as well as the horrifying ability to keep his opponent's wounds from healing. He even has his own internal armaments manufacturing. Number 2. Unicron. Primus and Unicron are two opposing entities in the world of Transformers. While Primus is considered to be the creator of Transformers, Unicron is the dark god of destruction. These godlike entities are twins, and when the wrath of Unicron is unleashed, it's nearly considered a bad fate for overall existence. Unicron is also known as the Planet Eater, as his energy is fueled by living planets, moons, and stars that he devours. His ultimate goal is to destroy all reality completely and find peace by living in nothingness. Well, to make things easier, you can consider Unicron to be as powerful as Galactus and with a mission like Thanos from the Marvel Universe. However, to some extent, he is even more powerful than Galactus as he can travel through the multiverse, spreading his plague and destruction wherever possible. But the stories, in an attempt to make things less confusing, restricted the character to one reality. Unicron served as the main antagonist in the Transformers the movie, voiced by Orson Welles, and his presence was hinted at without any actual appearance in the live-action Transformers movie. Unicron's size and extent of powers makes him really undefeatable. Unicron is essentially the Cybertronian version of the Devil in addition to being a robot the size of a whole planet. He consumes planets, moons, stars, and even the fabric of reality to power his enormous body. It is stated that he has consumed approximately 22.56% of known universes. There are incomprehensible quantum computers attached to his systems that can make speculations both forward and backward in time. A collective effect of his wrath, known as the Unicron phenomenon, acts as a characteristic of a virus that seeps through different realities, either succeeding in destroying it or retreating where it cannot. At times, the Autobots and Decepticons formed alliances to stop this vicious monster.
Once the Matrix is gone, my loyalty will return to my one true master, Unicron!
Number 3. Thunderwing. Next on our list, we have the perfect mix between explosive wrath and cool serenity, Thunderwing. Thunderwing was a Cybertronian scientist who had prognosed the demise of Cybertron for the cataclysmic war between the Autobots and Decepticons. He alerted both sides, to which none paid attention. With no hope of preventing his home planet from becoming inhabitable, he subjected himself to a polydermal grafting process, the process that Megatron earlier discarded for being ill-conceived and unnatural, creating an armored symbiotic carapace with grafted tissues from living subjects. Although the process seemed successful, it made Thunderwing insane, and the dying Cybertron finally consumed him. Thunderwing may be the most lethal Decepticon ever constructed. The grafting drove his mind wild, but it made him significantly stronger. He was impervious to ordinary weapons, and the combined efforts of Autobots and Decepticons could not bring him down. He was eventually swallowed whole by the planet, making him inactive and the world dead. Number 4. Bludgeon. Well, moving on to the next in this list, Bludgeon represents an outlier. He has never played a significant part in an animated series or video game, and with just comics being his sole source of fame, Bludgeon has yet established himself as a fan favorite. In large part, that is because of his eye-catching style. Bludgeon is a pretender who is transformed into a shell that resembles a skeletal samurai. He looks like a big robot skeleton samurai, and his persona is of a brave, combat-hungry swordsman. Bludgeon is completely aloof, extremely pious, and upholds a mysterious code of honor. He is quite superstitious due to his beliefs, which also feed his dogmatic accuracy and his focused bloodlust. He has charm. He usually hangs out with the Mayhem Attack Squad, but he's also been known to step in as Decepticon commander if a leadership void arises. Bludgeon is a pretender. Now, pretenders in the Transformers are Cybertronians who do not disguise themselves as vehicles or other types of machinery. Instead, they take the form of the native life form, which is why Bludgeon appears like a samurai. Bludgeon is a fierce fighter who knows the metallic Kato style of old Cybertronian martial arts. He and his blade can go through the battlefield so quickly that it makes the rest appear to be in slow motion. If Bludgeon doesn't believe his own hype, his combat prowess appears almost magical, which is likely the impact he is striving for. Although he also wields a shield and a high-voltage electric cannon, his trademark weapon is an energy sword. His shell's legs include generators that may produce dizzying clouds of smoke, and he could produce electric fireballs from either his body or his shell's midsection, keeping with his martial arts motive. Bludgeon has frequently risen to the top ranks of the Decepticons thanks to his arrogance, skills, and bravado. Number 5. Snaptrap. Snaptrap was the leader of one of the fiercest sections of the Decepticons called Cyclonus. Cyclonus were underwater combat experts and were among the most vicious of the faction. They consisted of marine creature-like designs, which gave them better control over water bodies. Snaptrap, the leader of the vicious group named after a snapping turtle, can be best described as an unstoppable killing machine. When he had killed an Autobot regiment in Cybertron's toxic sludge swamps, he acquired the moniker Butcher of the Bogs. He is an excellent hunter, and escaping him is almost as hard as defeating him. In Marvel's The Transformers comics, he had joined Shockwave's Earthbound Decepticons along with Sea-Wing. In their fight against the mighty Galvatron, Snaptrap transformed with troops into one of his strongest forms, known as Predaking. Snaptrap is yet to appear in a live-action film, but if he does figure in one, it is likely to give new dimensions to the film, as having a Decepticon that specializes in underwater fighting might just make the Autobots reconsider their combat strategies. While his Seacon subordinates all enjoy the hunt, Snaptrap likes the catch and gutting of the victim. Even his fellow Seacons stay cautious in his company, as even the slightest infraction can bring out Snaptrap's maniacal cruelty. Snaptrap and his Seacon troops can join forces to become Predaking, a combiner whose components all agree on its passion for hunting, unlike other combiners that suffer from uncoordinated thinking. He is cunning when it comes to hunting down his prey. When Optimus Prime and the Autobot Power Master came to retrieve a power source carried by Dreadwing over the ocean, Snaptrap ambushed them and blasted the unarmed Autobot Slapdash. Number 6. Tarn. The next Decepticon on our list is a sociopath murderer going by the name Tarn. Tarn is an erudite Decepticon and a vengeful, obsessive fanatic who loves playing music and iterating Megatron's philosophical works towards peace. He is ardent in his support for Megatron's cause, even embossing the Decepticon symbol on his own faceplate. Within Megatron's army, he leads the Decepticon Justice Division, which is also the deadliest subdivision in the army. The wing was created to hunt down traitors specifically, which they did meticulously. Once they caught any traitor, they made sure that the punishment is worthy enough to set an example among the rest of the Decepticons and instill fear in them. The division was small, and each member is named after the 5 cities that were destroyed during the Civil War at Cybertron. With Tarn as their leader, they are impossible to defeat when together. Well, it took more than one Cybertronian to stop any single member of the team. Tarn is as ruthless and as vicious as any other Decepticon, yet he sees himself as a bureaucrat and his staff as his administration. He feels his acts are totally justifiable, yet his thoughts are sometimes a steady stream of self-deprecation. Tarn was one of the key adversaries in IDW's The Transformers, More Than Meets the Eye, and one of the strongest pillars of the Decepticons that ensured Megatron's firm grip over his subjects. He was created primarily to seek down Decepticon traitors and make an example of whomever he captures. He uses a unique voice modulator to freeze any enemy that hears his voice, effectively forcing their spark to close down through the words and music he sings. Tarn may shift from friendly to dangerous at the slightest provocation. Because of his addictive habits, he burned out his initial transformation cog years ago, and his need on the power-enhancing nuke can lead to him succumbing to the hunger for violence. And no matter how hard he tries to convince himself differently, Tarn is a true psychopathic murderer. Although his double fusion cannons are lethal, they're not as unsettling as his death-talking abilities. He could cause a Cybertronian spark to collapse by modulating and then reducing the pitch of his voice, which would then violently murder his intended victim. Number 7. Predaking. Next, we have our first combiner robot on the list, Predaking. Predaking is formed out of the fierce union of all 5 Predacons: Razorclaw, Tantrum, Rampage, Headstrong, and Divebomb. Initially, Predaking was part of Megatron's Project Predacon. Shockwave, the Transformer who created Predaking, used the petrified bones of his original body to clone the Predator. Predaking started out as a simple hunter without speech or any apparent sign of greater intelligence, but after spending some time with the Decepticons, Predaking's intelligence started to develop. It was after gaining the power to change that Predaking adopted his name. He was a bot devoted to Megatron, but as time passed, he developed some ambition and a tendency to exaggerate his prowess, making Megatron nervous. Predaking was kept around as the Decepticons' top asset for fighting Autobots until Ratchet revealed the truth about his origin, which caused Predaking to instantly turn on the Decepticons before being whacked out through the airlock by Megatron due to his degree of intelligence. Following this, Megatron suspended Project Predacon in order to avoid potential mutiny. The combiners usually face difficulties in processing their minds as they are made up of more than one robot. They often suffer from confusion or lowered intelligence, but that was not the case with Predaking. Despite being made out of 5 smaller robots, Predaking did not suffer from any confusion. All 5 robots share a passion for fighting Autobots, giving them a singular focus that allows them to use all their advantages without compromise. He has no equivalent as a weapon and knows no bounds as a fighter. He could lift 500 tons without wearing out a circuit. Predaking's beast mode is that of a reasonably large, primarily dark red and black robotic dragon with wings for flight, claws and fangs for close combat situations, and a tail that can whip around quickly to knock Autobots or Decepticons away, as well as destroy anything in its range, and use blade-like projections on the tail to cut into opponents. Predaking was also seen killing dozens of Terrorcons with one of these bursts of explosive flames. Predaking's scales function as built-in body armor in robot form, making him very resistant to blaster fire and impacts. His robot mode is somewhat smaller than his beast mode counterpart, but bigger than both Megatron and Optimus Prime.
I've done plenty of bodywork, Starscream, but I'm better at breaking them than fixing them.
Number 8. Knockout. Knockout is formed by the merging of one of the most mysterious subspecies within the Transformers mythology called Micromaster. The 2 aspects of Knockout, unlike other Decepticons, continue to be intriguing. First off, Knockout's allegiance shifts across continuity depending on whether he is a Minicon, Autobot, or Decepticon. Knockout was also a medical officer who was initially sent to Earth after being called by Starscream to save the unconscious. Knockout assumed a less active position for the Decepticons after Breakdown was murdered by Arachnid, in part because of his reliance on this former companion. He resorted to employing a variety of weaponry to make his point throughout numerous fights. Knockout soon established a competitor in the Autobot scout Bumblebee. After joining the Autobots in Predacons Rising, Knockout stopped acting as the series' enemy. Despite being planned to debut as an Autobot motorbike in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, Knockout never does. Knockout is an accomplished scientist, physician, and surgeon. He successfully transplanted a T-cog into Starscream and replaced Megatron's arm. He has at least one arm-mounted drill and 2 built-in hand buzzsaws with him. He also carries an Energon prod, although it appears that he will never be able to use it again after it was damaged by Dark Energon and Synthen infused Silas and Thirst. In vehicle form, he resembles a brilliant red European sports automobile known as an Aston Martin, with the inner portion of his wheels painted a gleaming gold tint.
You're finished now. I'm going to destroy your computer!
Number 9. Deathsaurus. Deathsaurus was one of the oldest Decepticons, tracing back to almost 500,000 years. In hopes of becoming the Emperor of Destruction, he created an almighty superweapon known as the Planet-Destroying Fortress, but before he could use it, an Autobot named Starsaber attacked and sealed away the Planet-Destroying Fortress with Dark Nebule, after which he sought only vengeance from the Autobots. After joining the Decepticons, he was fairly obedient at first and spent a long time terraforming planets to be suited for cybernetic life, but after generations of labor, despite being a devoted Decepticon, he ultimately grew tired of Megatron's harsh behavior towards his people, for which he left. He served as the main adversary of the Transformers Victory anime and manga. He also showed up as a significant villain in subsequent Transformers series works. Because of his legendary status and leadership skills, he would undoubtedly be considered to lead the Decepticon army if Megatron went absent. Even before becoming the Decepticon Emperor of Destruction, Deathsaurus was destroying the cosmos. This brutal tyrant, who has terrorized the planet for countless years, has now turned his attention to using Earth as a source of energy to fuel his terrible superweapon, the Planet-Destroying Fortress. A member of the Breast Force, Deathsaurus is paired with 2 chest plates that may morph into the breast animals, Tiger Breast and Eagle Breast. In addition to the live metal destroying cannon, which erodes the living metallic cells of super robot lifeforms, he also carries a lethal spiky flail. His beast mode's bladed wings absorb sunlight and transform it into black energy, which he may then channel into a strike known as his Deathwing to unleash on his foes. Deathsaurus is a very hands-off leader despite having such scary abilities. He is willing to let his followers come up with their own ideas and schemes to harvest energy for him, but if they should fail, he will always be there to chastise and brutally punish them.
We've come to free you!
Number 10. Cyclonus. Several distinct Decepticons appeared in Transformers the movie as brand new Cybertronian entities with special abilities that set them apart from their earlier incarnations. When Megatron eventually becomes tired of Starscream's deceit, Cyclonus, a former Seeker Skywarp, will take Starscream's position as one of Galvatron's earliest and most devoted followers. Finding a second-in-command among the Decepticons who is really obedient and capable is practically impossible. The exception to that trend is Cyclonus. He also possesses the intelligence to support that commitment, the strength to carry out Galvatron's commands, and the initiative to make plans and carry them out. If he wanted to, Cyclonus could easily take over the leadership of the Decepticons either indirectly through a force behind the throne or directly by replacing his crazy master. When one considers that he switches off with Ultra Magnus as Galvatron's personal punching bag, it's rather astonishing that he's that devoted. Similar to Astrotrain, Cyclonus is commonly utilized in his alternate mode. Galvatron and the others can fly within a huge spaceship, but the Decepticons are still dangerous outside. Strengthening his allegiance, he finally joins the Decepticons and is chosen to serve as one of their side's target masters, receiving a weapon with its own artificial intelligence and robotic alternate form.
You heard him. Hurry up. I hate you. Glad to hear it.
Number 11. Astrotrain. Last but not least is Astrotrain, the Decepticon with triple changer powers. Nothing makes him happier than confronting an Autobot in a concealed location and tricking him into thinking he's up against a pair of Decepticons, as he could switch between 3 forms, an aircraft and a space shuttle along with his robot form. He longs for the ability to control other people. In order to gain more out of life, he must either fly the other Decepticons around or risk being destroyed by them. Additionally, he longs for control over a vast army of train drones. During Megatron's second year of conquest of the planet and its energy sources, Astrotrain landed on Earth. It is unknown what he was doing before that. Astrotrain is included on this list for a few significant reasons. He is a triple changer for starters. If you're not familiar with the language of Generation 1 Transformers, that implies he has 2 more modes in addition to his primary form. Astrotrain, who can morph into both a space shuttle and a jet, spends a lot of time transporting the majority of the Decepticon army to various missions. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.
Now, will you believe I'm joining the winning team?